helping make your life easier. Moms Every Day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Moms Every Day. We're here today. We're talking about Yeager Airport operations. Of course, Yeager Airport in Charleston. And here to talk with us is Ted Lawson from National Travel and Mike Plant from Yeager Airport. Mike and Ted, we appreciate you joining us to talk with us.
Thank you, Taylor.
Good to be here.
So, Mike, tell us a little bit about Yeager's runway. How does it compare to other airports?
Well, a lot of people operate under this mistaken notion that Yeager is has a small runway, an abnormally small runway. And that's really not the case. Yeager has over 6,800 feet available for takeoff, and Ted books travel to virtually everywhere in the country with his firm National Travel. So, Ted, you know that Yeager's runway is comparable to a lot of the other runways at major airports, don't you?
Yeah, in fact, LaGuardia has a similar runway, and so does Washington Reagan. So it's got a 2-3 is a good runway.
Yeah, LaGuardia has 7,000 feet, so a little bigger than us. Midway has 6,500 feet, so a little smaller than us. And Washington National has a 5,000-foot runway. Now, they have other runways at those airports, too, but if you've flown out of Yeager to one of those places, you've likely landed on a runway that's smaller than the one you took off at Yeager Airport. So it's a misconception, commonly held misconception, that Yeager's runway is small and challenging. But people get that notion because we're built up on top of a series of mountains, so the site picture is definitely different. But the runway length, even after the events of March 12th of last year, where we lost about 500 feet of the runway safety area due to that failure of the mechanically stabilized earth retention structure, we still have a 6,800-foot runway available for takeoff at Yeager.
I think that's something a lot of people don't realize, like you said, kind of that misconception. So is a larger runway something that's necessary?
Well, a larger runway equals options for you. And one of the things being considered right now, because the FAA is going to require us to build back that the runway safety area zone, is to add an additional 1,000 feet, which is what the FAA normally wants, 1,000 feet of runway safety area. We accomplished it at Yeager by adding 500 feet of EMAS to the runway 5 end, and one proposal being floated right now is to add 1,000 feet to the 2-3 end. That would give us about 8,000 feet available for takeoff, which would handle a lot of different types of aircraft. And right now, in the summer months, when it's very, very hot, airlines occasionally pay what's called a weight penalty when it's really hot. The aircraft is less efficient, so they may not be able to take a full load on a really hot day in the summer because of the runway situation right now, the lack of that runway safety area. But if we add that 1,000 feet, we could handle virtually any type of aircraft. Except the space shuttle, but...
Sure. Now, Ted, kind of give us your thoughts on the length of Yeager's runway.
I think that Yeager's runway length is fine. Naturally, we'd like another 1,000 feet, and that's what they're planning. I think that as you move into the larger jets, but the larger jets now are actually very efficient. Delta operates essentially what we term a heavy or a wide-bodied aircraft in the morning out here, and there's a whole host of RJ jets, which are 50 to 70 passengers. So we in the travel business, we always want to maximize runways and for better, as Mike was saying, for better options. But by the same token, it's obviously very safe, and I feel very comfortable with it.
You know, the airlines are moving away from like the Dash 8s with the turboprop aircraft, which I think a lot of consumers are excited about. But those are smaller aircraft, and they can operate out of a lot of different airports. So as we move away from those type of airplanes to the larger aircraft, the additional runway and runway safety area gives you the added ability to take the bigger aircraft fully loaded with full fuel, full passengers, full bags, as well as that extra margin of safety. And that seems to be the trend. That seems to be the way the airlines are going. So having, when we rebuild, if we do that option, we'll have that additional runway necessary to accommodate virtually any type of aircraft.
And I think that would be a great innovation, that extra 1,000 feet.
All right. Well, Mike and Ted, thank you so much for joining us to talk with us, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Taylor.